everybody. I'm Bo Bayman, and we'll start with Dr. Chris Belcher. And Dr. Belcher, when Bruce Whitesides came to you and said, you know what, we have to do something. We got to think outside the box, and Kelly Sports Properties is here, and this is going to become a business. What was your initial thought?
Well, when I came here, we were in the throes of the recession. We were reducing staff. We were cutting budgets, and as a superintendent, the classroom is protected, and so athletics were taking a bigger bite of that budget reduction. So I thought it was a good idea to start discussing. It had a lot of political issues that we had to work through, but it was the right direction to go, and I think we probably spent 6 months having discussions, moving it back and forth before we really geared it up and got it to the board. And even then, as I said before, it was a 4-3 vote with the board because they were concerned about entering this kind of a market where we have representation in advertising. But in the end, it's worked out very well, and I'm sure some board members would like to go back and change their vote because we're pumping a lot of money into our programs that does not impact the classroom.
And you really did your checks and balances before going ahead with this, didn't you?
Yes, we knew there were political elements. We also knew there were financial elements, so we had to make sure we were legally allowed to do certain things. So I think we sort of blazed the trail of what is acceptable. And what we found is the community loves the wholesome atmosphere of advertising and being associated with the Columbia Public Schools, and that they not only like to advertise with us, they like to be a part of the community.
And Michelle, maybe you remember back in those days and some of the hardships that you had to go through because this was a new program.
Right, there's definitely a learning process to be able to develop something like this and where certain pieces of the puzzle fit, and definitely educating our community as well as our own employees and students about the program and how it was going to be beneficial to not only our athletic program but also to our academic program.
Jonathan, I'm sure you heard good things and bad things right away, didn't you?
There were a lot of concerns, and like Chris said, the board did their due diligence. We spent a lot of time talking to the athletic directors in the district, talking to the coaches, talking to the booster clubs, talking to the folks at Kelly, talking to our administration team. We had a lot of concerns. This was a very new way of approaching this, and there was a lot of potential. We saw that. We saw the benefit of creating equity among all of our programs throughout the district, but there was also a lot of concerns as to what it might do to some of these booster clubs that already existed, because we do have a lot of very strong booster clubs with a lot of community support, and we didn't want to undermine that social part of the booster clubs, and so that was important to us as well.
Did you get some pushback initially? We
had a little bit of pushback. I know that we were approached by individuals that were concerned that there would be the over-marketing and the concerns that we would soon start selling advertising on every inch of the school, and those were a lot of the concerns we heard. We also heard concerns about whether or not programs would be getting the same amount of funding that they were getting previously, or funding to the same level or funding to the same level that was being brought in by the booster clubs, and so that was another big concern that we heard. And I think it's turned out in both cases that the advertising is appropriate levels, it's good wholesome advertising in a good wholesome environment, and that all of our programs are getting more than what they expected.
Paula, in the beginning, were you like, what are they doing to us? What is my role now as a booster club?
I really, as a representative of the Rockbridge Booster Club and as a parent, I just felt like it was a very good concept. It was a good concept in which CPS could tap into some revenues that they didn't have access to otherwise to use in the classroom. And as a booster club, we primarily work to fundraise for our sport programs. And I just really felt that this program would support us in that effort. And in learning about it from the beginning, I felt like with the amount of dollars that the program was expecting to bring in from the advertisers in Columbia, that we were talking about a significant amount of money.
Did you have pushback from some of the booster club members?
Yes, I would say so, just because I think most of it has to do with the lack of understanding of the program. Now, I do believe that there's a transition period, and not all of it was easy but there's only a few people to really understand the process. And I'm not saying I'm one of those people, but I think that is maybe one of the issues, is that folks don't understand. And I think when there is money that eventually makes it into the individual sport ECAs, extracurricular accounts, that more folks will appreciate the program.
Now, as we've been in this for 2 years, I would talk to Kim as a new principal of a new high school and seeing some of the things that have gone on here at Battle. New scoreboards, unbelievable facilities. You can see how some of the things have already paid off.
Oh, definitely. One of the things that we're trying to do still, though, is to educate our parents on what the benefits are of being part of Kelly Sports Properties, not just the things that you see around the building, but what are the things that are going to happen in our future, and how do we work together to support all the athletics, but also it has that positive impact on our classroom too, and that we're able to take the money from Kelly Sports Properties and spend it on athletics, so that we can take the money that's provided by our school district and really focus on programs to help kids be successful in school, in the classroom.
And another part that goes along with that is money is spread out to every single program, and that is one of the real benefits of the whole Kelly Sports Properties agreement and initiative, isn't it?
Right, and I think being a new school, we're still in that infancy and trying to get everything established. And so the fact that Kelly Sports Properties has established some of that funding source for us really helps our parents get established and helps them get some seed money to continue to raise money to help our kids.
Mark, let's talk to you a little bit about somebody who's been here kind of since the beginning of this. How have you seen the evolution in the couple of years that Kelly Sports Properties has taken over?
I would echo a lot of what's been said, as far as there was a lot of unknown. It was a great idea, thought there was a lot of positive to it. But what we found all during last year was that you couldn't communicate enough, and to reinforce all of the benefits that we were getting. So I completely understand where Kim is, trying to get the Battle High School started and running, and then trying to understand how the money's coming in, because it was brand new, obviously for Hickman and Rockbridge last year, but also really brand new in even the concept. I don't know of another high school or district that's going through this, so it was a lot about communicating, and even, I will say personally, I had some things that I wasn't real clear on, so it was important for us to continue to ask questions and continue to bring that feedback back to our community. But it's been very beneficial. You know, we have increase in we've updated scoreboards, which I don't think so, but pretty close to original at Rockbridge, and starting to see a lot of benefits. And I know that our coaches are ready to start seeing that get into their accounts and really support them as they look at it individually, and they're not having to go out and solicit for all of the money that they used to, and they're looking forward to that, to be able to focus more on coaching rather than raising money.
That's exactly the point